and welcome. I just wanted to let you know that some of the administrative staff stepped out so that we would be in compliance with fire regulations. So that's why they stepped out. They'll be back if there's room. I'd like to bring the meeting to order and ask that roll be called, please.
Bluth. Here. Bozeman.
Here.
Disharoon.
Here.
Holzhauser. Here. Humbles. Here. Ree. Zawin.
Okay, thank you. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, the board will move on to the public participation portion of the meeting, and Dr. Dearman will begin with the superintendent's report.
All righty. For this evening, first order of business, congratulations to new board members, kind of new, Teresa Holzhauser, Ann Henry, Tim Wagenbach, and Mike Wisdom on their recent success in the election. And we will have a special meeting, actually a week from tonight, to seat the new board members, and that will be here in the town center at the usual time at 6 p.m. FOIA request, had one that we were informed of, a commercial request from Smart Procure for any and all purchasing records from December 31st, 2018 to present. We are currently in the process of granting that request. Tuesday the 23rd, we will have a district leadership team meeting, the final meeting of the year for that group in the high school library. So that is scheduled, and some information has already gone out to those members to give them something to look at before the meeting. And then the last item, we got the tax computation report from Peoria County. And if you remember when we did the levy request back in December, we have had a decline in EAV, which when you have a decline in EAV, you subsequently have a decline in your revenues. So I had predicted at that time a dollar amount, and I was within 8/100ths of 1% of that amount, so it came in pretty much exactly where I thought it would. Overall, basically what that means is about $2 million less. We have a little less coming in because of property tax EAV base, but we also are getting a little bit more with the evidence-based funding through the state. So aggregate total about $2 million less. That's all I have for my report at this time.
Okay, thank you. I believe there are people here to participate in public comments, so at this time we'll move on to that segment of the meeting. And Carrie, you want to tell us who's up first?
Sandy Salverson.
Okay, and before you begin, I need to go over the guidelines. Before addressing the board, I would like to remind you of our process for Board Policy 2230. We ask that when addressing the board, please identify yourself and be brief. Comment shall be limited to 5 minutes. The speaker is asked to please conduct oneself with respect and civility toward others. Individuals less than 18 years of age are permitted to address the board if accompanied by his or her parent or guardian. The board typically does not engage in two-way conversations during the public portion of the meeting. Any follow-up response will be addressed by the administration at a later date. To be respectful of others and protect confidentiality, complaints against individual students, staff members, or board members, either named or unnamed, shall not be orally presented to the Board of Education. Such complaints should be put in writing, signed by the person or persons making the charges, and delivered to the Board of Education Secretary. So at this time, if you'd like to come forward and please say who you are and what you'd like, what topic you'll be addressing.
Good evening, I'm Sandy Salverson. I am a resident of the Dunlap community, part of the district. I have 3 children in the district and 1 graduate, as well as I'm the president of the Dunlap Dolphin swim team. I'm here tonight to just comment on the overall status of the swimming pool and concerns about continual repair, as well as the safety for the individuals that use it. Just for a little background information, my children swim for the high school. Well, one does now, one graduated, where the girls team has about 35, 37 swimmers, as well as the boys team, which has grown to about 20 swimmers. And the club that which I represent that uses the facilities, we have about 125 families, as well as 140, which translates to 145 swimmers. And of that 125 families, I would say approximately 80% are members of this district as well. In March, the pool was shut down for safety concerns. There was a problem, and I'm not a mechanical expert, with some carbon monoxide handling, which certainly they've been monitoring the levels for months. It is a concern because that is a direct safety concern for any of the people that use those facilities, in addition to outside of where the pool is. That's based on my own assumption. We've had positive conversations with Katie Caslett and Tom Grimm to only be notified this week that the roof unit is deemed as condemned. It can no longer be used. And there's some additional things that need to happen. My overarching concern as the leader of this group, as well as just students that use this athletic facility, is 10 years ago there was a report looking at the assessment of the status of the pool that found a number of operational things that really needed to be done to keep this in good maintenance. In the last 3 years, we've really put some Band-Aids, is my understanding, again, not being mechanically sufficient to be able to assess, but looking for what's the long-term plan, especially when we think about overall safety of whether that be heating. There have been times when we have lost heating in the actual area of the pool, and trying to determine, is it safe for the students to continue to use, to the point where the locker room floor or the pool floor is so cold because the ambient temperature, the pool water is actually warmer than what the ambient temperature is. And for that, I just would like some board consideration and some direction as we continue to partner and grow this important resource just for the community, which I know others are here to address as well. I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Max Spencer.
Max Spencer.
I'm Max Spencer. I'm the head coach of the Dunlap Dolphin swim team, actually, and I'm here just to kind of speak on the importance of the pool for us as a community, and some tips on some facts on water safety. So the pool is used by your guys' own high school team as well as our club, Dunlap Dolphin team. We do have a lot of the athletes. Most of the Dunlap high schoolers do compete for us year-round. We compete at a high level as well as for high school level and USA swimming level. Every year, the high school and us are getting recognition from the state level and even to a junior national level and throughout the U.S. And then a lot of these athletes actually are continuing their careers on to collegiate level, futures to go to universities and things like that. But during the summertime, we help the high school kids kind of build their way up into the high school season, to help represent Dunlap High School at the best they can. And then another flip side of that is the district lessons program. That's kind of I don't really work with that hand in hand. An associate of mine does, but it is pretty important to me, and it does backlash onto our kids. The lessons program is huge in any community. That provides the water safety instruction. They have their program through June through August, but it provides safety and instruction to roughly 200 plus younger kids in the greater Peoria and even mainly Dunlap area, but I do know that people commute out from Peoria areas to do this. Their goal is to learn the safety portion of water, which is huge, but also to teach these younger kids how to love the water, love the pool, but be able to be safe at the same time. A fun little tip I kind of threw in here, I was doing my homework, and I was a sport management major, so I did all this, but water safety is in the top 2 leading causes in death among young children, ages 1 through 14. Ages 1 through 4 is the number 1 cause, and ages 5 through 14 is number 2. The district program lessons are aimed anywhere from ages 4 is the minimum cutoff, all the way up till they'll have some 12-year-olds, but the goal is to be safe. On that as well is this lessons program really does help create jobs for your very own high schoolers who go get lifeguard certified and safety certified, and they do a great job where they work in the water, hands-on with these kids, day in and day out. I know they enjoy it a lot. I coach them every day, and they have fun doing it, and they go from morning practice to work, back to afternoon practice, get a little snack break here and there. But I know they really do enjoy that, and it's a continuous cycle of safety, enjoyment for these kids, helping them build resumes as working down the road, and positivity. And then the last fact really is I do know I've gotten some emails recently about some people being concerned about lap swimming. You guys have a lot of retired community people out in Dunlap that really do enjoy the lap swimming aspect that is offered. A lot of these people, are going to start veering off to the, down in the Peoria area and potentially, I don't know, get stuck down there, not come back. But a lot of people do speak highly of, the pool, the uses that you can use for it, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
Carolyn Shively, Taylor Weaver, J.C. Weeks, and Sophia Spolanoria.
Good evening, and thank you for letting us speak tonight. I'm Caroline Shively. I'm Taylor Weaver. I'm JC. I'm Sophia Spolanoria. We come here tonight about the pool and the importance of it to us in the timelines of getting it back up and running. All four of us are state swimmers for both the high school team and our club Dunlap Dolphins team. We need our pool, as for our sport, we must train year-round in order to stay competitive, as this is how all high school swimmers are. We are able to be here tonight as we have no pool to practice in today, as the pool we are using is being maintained today and not in use. The Dolphins is where all of us started our love for the sport, and the accomplishments of our club team are pretty amazing. Regional, state, Speedo, zones, and junior national meets are outstanding achievements that many have gotten to do to the coaches that lead us in our pool. Many don't know the commitment we make as swimmers. During high school season, we are in the pool 3 mornings a week at 5:30 before school. We practice every day after school until 6 and Saturdays as well. Right now, we should be in the pool after school, but are traveling and at Richwood's pool from 6:30 to 9 every night and are scrambling to find spots to continue our Illinois State training for July. And then we start right back into high school season. Not only have we lost our normal training, but we also lost our jobs for the summer. Our summers are not like most high school kids. We practice 7 to 9 a.m. and then teach lessons in lifeguard up here all day and then go straight to late afternoon practice. We taught over 200 children last summer to either swim or better their skills. They are our featured Dunlap athletes. Not only did we teach them the strokes, but also the importance of water safety. Let's not forget all the people that come and use the pool for open swim. The families that can't afford elsewhere, the retirees and long-timers of Dunlap, and kids just trying to better themselves. We started with Dolphins when we were ages 7 to 9, and look at us now. Not only are we continuing the conference and sectional wins, but we represent the Dunlap Eagles at state. The Dolphins is what helped pave this path for us. The number of swimmers that move on as college scholars and athletes is very high, with many going D1. Between last year and this year alone, we have 7 swimmers that committed to colleges, 4 were D1. We are 4.0 students and academically do what you ask from us, so please let us have the ability to use our academics and athletics for our college careers. Let's keep this excellence in the pool going. From the kids we teach, to the Dolphins in training, to us high school students that represent Dunlap with great accomplishments, we ask you to please, please, please get us back in our pool. This pool is not only our passion, but also for our future dreams. Also, just wanted to point out there, no, I'm not related to Chuck Weaver.
David Bozeman. Together in Amber.
Okay, so I'm Amber Bozeman. I'm gonna recognize my mom. Okay, so before I start, I have this scrapbook that a few have added comments. So you guys, if you want to sign something or put words in here, you guys can. I'll have this at the end. Tenacious, intelligent, diligent, caring, elegant, courageous, beautiful. A list that could go on and on to describe the woman I am blessed to call my mother. As I wrote this speech, I did not know where to begin, because saying thank you for all of your efforts in 5 minutes is never enough. But I do believe I was the spark that lit the fire within my mom to run for the school board and change policies that were not benefiting students in a positive way. Back in 2011, when I was in 7th grade, I was told I was not good enough to be in the math program that I had already tested into. My book was taken and my schedule changed in the middle of the year, before my parents could even make a phone call. The underlying facts of the situation forced my parents to fight for what was right, and I could never thank them enough. I was moved back into my original math class, performed well, and was reunited with my friends in original schedule. I watched her determination in her first election, which was one of a kind. Getting up in the early hours of the morning every week to walk around neighborhoods and hand out flyers. I was happy when it wasn't my turn to go. Putting signs up wherever she could, reaching out to individuals, and being herself really paid off as she was elected to the board in 2011 to 2015. She went on to achieve board president in 2015 and 2017 and to re-election from 2015 and now. She has done a magnitude of things that positively affect the Dunlap School District. Her caring heart and compassionate soul for helping others is really unique, and that is shown by the support she has received along the way. When so many people love you, it would be right if there weren't a few who opposed things you did. Despite those who may not have always agreed with your views, you still stood tall and stood your ground, not caring if you fit in with the norm. Showing up to every single meeting, not missing a beat for 8 years, that is amazing to say the least. With 5 kids, sports, family events, involvement in different organizations, running to the schools to bring forgotten homework, and everything else imaginable, you're the definition of a superwoman. I would never understand how you manage to do it, but you do it with a smile on your face and not a complaint in mind, except when you want your Twizzlers. You are amazing, and I want to thank you so much for everything you've done, not only for our family and I, but for the entire Dunlap School District. I want to thank you for impacting the lives of everyone you meet. I know this didn't do justice to what you've done over the past 8 years, but it was the best I could do in 5 minutes. I love you, Mom, and I am so proud of you. You've taught me how to be a strong woman, how to be a compassionate leader, how to be courageous, and most importantly, how to follow my dreams. I can never thank you enough, but thank you so much for everything. So I have a few words from individuals who were unable to make it to the meeting today. So from Mayor Jim Artis, please congratulate your mom for her outstanding commitment to education through both her service as an elected 323 board member and also Peoria Promise board member. Her passion for education is second to none, and she deserves our thanks. Best of luck to her and you and the entire Bozeman family. Lisa Parker. Dawn, I want to thank you for everything you did for the students in the Dunlap School District. You were a passionate advocate for kids, and you never once forgot the reason why you're a board member. You always did the right thing, even when others around you were making decisions based upon their own personal agendas. You always gave me such good advice, and you made me a better administrator by following and learning from your leadership. Dunlap has truly lost a leader on the board. My best wishes to you and your entire family. Renata Tavares, dear Dawn, thank you so much for all of your service. You've inspired so many and touched the lives of thousands of people. The whole community is thankful for your constant desire to do good and for putting members of this community first. I can't thank you enough personally for everything you've done for me and supported me through. Your heart is made of gold, and I can't wait to see the amazing things you and your family will do in the future. Angie Connor, I can't make it to the meeting tonight, but I would like to thank your mom for being a champion for the school district. She always was an advocate for students and teachers. Every decision she made was made for the right reasons. She stood tall for principal, and I would like to thank her again for her dedication to the district. I will miss her leadership. And then an anonymous, I would like to thank Dawn for her relentless efforts towards putting the needs of our children first. My student would not be excelling in college right now had it not been for Dawn stepping up to protect the rights of students. My student was blatantly treated unfairly, and when it came to Dawn's attention, she stood up for what was right without hesitation. I will be eternally grateful to her for that. We attribute a great portion to our child's success in school to Dawn's commitment to students. Thank you, Dawn, and our family will always remember and appreciate your strength and dedication. So on behalf of my family and I, we would like to present Dawn Bozeman this plaque in recognition and appreciation for your outstanding work and dedication to the Dunlap School Board. Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Okay, thank you. My name is David Bozeman. First of all, I want to recognize the staff and administration. Having had 5 children go through this district is very, very important to me, and I appreciate the work that all of you do. Congrats to the new board members for coming on, because it is a huge responsibility going forward in running the board. Recognition of the current board members. A lot of people don't realize that sometimes this is voluntary, and I have a first-hand account of just the amount of seriousness, time, and personal sacrifice that goes into being a board member, so I appreciate that. My primary reason for comments is to speak about a particular board member, Dawn Bozeman. Her name sounds familiar because she's my wife, and has been my wife for almost 26 years, and is truly my best friend. As this is her final official board meeting, I wanted to publicly recognize Dawn for the work she has done over the last 8 years. 323 is a financially sound district and is academically respected throughout the state. My wife, my best friend, was a big part of that, having served on this board for 8 years. As her de facto campaign manager, I can attest to the tireless work Dawn put in, not only during the campaign, but also on the board. To describe her impact not only to the district, but to the community would be obvious, as there have been many, numerous positive impacts. I instead want to talk about her character. I like to use acronyms so you can easily remember them, and today I came up with one that just says ICC. It's not the ICC that you first think about, it's about character, with the first I meaning integrity. Integrity, Dawn has a moral compass that is consistent and has guided her in her service and on this and other boards that she serves. It is uncompromising. Commitment, that's the first C. Dawn commits all, as demonstrated by her 8 years of perfect attendance on this school board, 8 years. She's relentless in her efforts to drive for what is best for this district and its students. And the last C would not surprise everyone would be courage. I often say her courage has allowed this community to grow wings. Those who know her will know this does not surprise you. Dawn stands up even when the topic is tough. To make a difference in society, it takes courage. Dawn has made a difference in this community and the district. She did that through constant, consistent courage. I'll conclude by telling my wife, a member of this board, thank you for what you have done. Integrity, accountability, responsibility, commitment, courage, consistency, seeking to understand, executing on agreements. This would recognize the perfect blueprint of an outstanding board member and community leader, but it also describes Dawn. So for that, to my wife, congratulations, and to the board, congratulations. Unfortunately, I think we're losing a great one, but hopefully the ones coming in and all of you will follow that blueprint. So thank you very much.
Cheryl Booth and Teresa Bolshauser, because it wasn't on the agenda, we just signed up. But Don, we found out that this was your last meeting, and the board's past practice has been to show our appreciation to a retiring board member at their last meeting. So we wanted to take the opportunity to do that, and we have a token of our appreciation, and this is on behalf of the board.
Thank you.
We also have one for Beth, but unexpectedly she was sick this evening, and she will also be retiring after 8 years of service on the board. But hopefully she'll be at the final meeting when we seat the new board, as well as Brian.
Right.
Beautiful, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks,
Okay, I've never been one without words, so it wasn't quite done yet. But I wanted to say that I've come to know Don way back when we moved back in 2009 through Caterpillar, and then sitting together at many basketball games, cheering on our son's teams, back in middle school. What I saw then was an example of how to be a good school board member. I was amazed at how many people in the middle of your son taking a shot, sitting down saying, I gotta talk to you about something. Parents everywhere. And the dignity, professionalism, you engaged with them, you listened, and you were diplomatic. You didn't commit. You knew the chain of command, what the role of a good school board member is. And from that leadership, I guess that set an example that when there was a vacancy on the school board, I decided to step up and have the courage that you had to apply for the position, and then had the honor of serving with you for the past four plus years. So I think you've been a great role model for everyone who's come and gone. As I see Paul Park back there, we had the honor of sharing our appreciation with you 2 years ago as well. I think that as a board member, probably your strongest trait, as your husband mentioned, is integrity. And that's the most valuable asset, of a school board member. And you never forget that, and you show us all what that looks like, and also keeping focus on why we're here. the most important thing, and the focus is always on our kids. I think that there truly is an art to school boarding, and you've showed us that, and this has come up recently with some new school board members too. We did this as a study, and Paul was a part of that too, and you exemplify what the right things are to do. And it is an art to school boarding, but you never lose focus on that. I think you also are the epitome of showing that you live by the school board's code of conduct, and without question. And I think you show us when you stand up for what you believe in, and sometimes, you know, with a lot of tenacity, expecting it from everybody else. And we should all hold ourselves to that same standard. So I appreciate, you know, the role model that you've been for so many of us, and we'll certainly miss that leadership and tenacity on the board. And 8 years is a long time. I mean, the pay isn't that great, you know, for the amount of time you put in, but it's hundreds and hundreds of hours. It's not just the few hours here at the board table. And so we appreciate the fact that you not only stepped up once, but twice for 8 years. And we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very good. It's very difficult to follow everyone here, but I echo everyone's statements for you, Dawn. You know, I'll start by saying I think you're in Seattle, how lucky they are. You know, we're losing a great community member, but worked with you for 4 years, and I think anyone will know that Dawn's not too many times at a loss for words. She will speak her mind, and she'll tell you exactly how she feels. I don't think that you're ever going to wonder what you're thinking, Dawn, but just an excellent board member. We're doing it for the right reasons for the students. You've always got them in mind. But I'm going to go on a little personal side here. I know I was at an event with you, probably an American Red Cross event. We've been at several together, right? And my oldest daughter, I think she was probably still an undergrad at the time, maybe in the doctorate program, but she said, what a role model. She looks up to you, both my girls do. I think that's great, and anyone in the community can absolutely see the leadership that you provide. We'll definitely miss you on the board. And of course, we got some new board members, of course, that are here tonight as well, so they'll take those places. But just remember how much we appreciate you, and we'll definitely miss you. So thanks for all your efforts that you put in and the time you put in.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We were going to hold the plaque presentation from the board till the next meeting, but since this is Dawn's last meeting, we will present that now, and we'll present the other board members departing at the next meeting. So,
On behalf of myself and the school board, I'd like to thank you for 8 years of service
Thank you
and wish
very
you the
much.
best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mrs.
Thank you. Thank you all.
are there others? No. Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board? Okay. This concludes the public participation portion of the
I'm
meeting.
sorry, Karen.
Oh.
If you're done with participation, I'll just make a quick
Okay.
statement too.
Oh, sure.
And thank you for everybody that's here tonight, and for all the well wishes. And it really has been an honor to serve in this district. And I'm sorry the administrators are not in here because I had a statement for them as well. But the administrators and teachers of this district are unwavering in their dedication to our students, and they're committed to that. And I just wanted to thank them because I've seen over the 8 years their commitment to our students in this district. And sometimes they don't even get the support that they deserve for all the work they do, for being experts in the field, and for bringing those recommendations forward. The curriculum director, all of our administrators, our building administrators, and all of our teachers and staff. So just know that there are people that do recognize all the commitment that you've taken and the time you take. And even when it feels like you're not being supported, there are people who are lifting you up behind the scenes. I also want to say thank you to all the parents and all the community members who have supported me over the last 8 years. It's been kind of a roller coaster of a commitment over the last few years, as you all well know. But I do feel that we have people coming in that will be here for the right reasons, and that will help study this board. And going forward, it's just extremely important, as you've heard before, just to hold your integrity and stick to your grounds, and remember that we're all here for the students. And if you're not here for the students, then you probably should find another board to go sit on. Because if you can't make decisions that are in their best interests and not your own, then that's a problem. And I'm hoping that the board will hold each other accountable to that mission and that goal. Because if not, the district will not remain the great district that it is today. I just want to say thank you to everyone who spoke up, especially thank you to my family for being here tonight. You know, we do these meetings all the time, and they see you gone for hours on end, and you're always behind your computer and talking to people on the phone, but they may not quite understand what's happening. But thank you for your patience, and thank you for loving and understanding when there are late nights and there are late meetings, and so I appreciate that. So thank you all for being here tonight. It's very important, and for everyone who came out, and for all you've done over the years, not just today, but please stay connected to this board, stay connected to the district. You know, this is for your kids, which is your most valuable asset, is your kids. So you want to stay here, you want to fight for them, you want to see that what's done right by them. This is your taxpayer dollars. This is where you should be. You have a say in everything that happens here at this board table. There's 7 people who are elected here, but you truly have the control and the power. But you have to take it. You have to attend the meetings, you have to follow the minutes, you have to see where the votes are falling so that you can question board members if things aren't happening. You know, we have the students here tonight, and I'll wrap up here, but the pool is something that was on the docket years ago, and it should be something that is carried forward. You know, and I know that there are people on this board that feel the same way, and that needs to be pushed forward, and it needs to not be let go. So you have to really stick to it and never take no for an answer. You always have to keep coming back and ask for more data and get more reasoning behind why what you think should be happening for our students isn't happening. And there should be a timeline for everything. So there should be no indefinite waiting period for something to happen. So thank you again. I appreciate everything. It's been a rocky road. I know some people, don't like the excitement that goes on sometimes, but I'm telling you, sometimes you have to. The battles that you see on the front end have been fought silently for a long time. So by the time you're seeing it at this table, just know that there's been a lot of things behind the scenes by the time it gets to that point. And so I empower you all to be courageous and to continue to stay focused. And all the new board members that are coming, the campaign is over. It was hard. Congratulations to you. Now the real work starts. And I charge you to come sit at the table and to be deliberate and intentional in every decision that you make. And make it for the students, not for your own personal family, not for your own personal opinion, but for the students in the entire district, and to make sure that you see everybody's interests and everybody's focus when you make decisions for all of our kids. So I thank you all, and even though we may not agree, I appreciate everybody that sits at a board table who has the willingness to come and sit in this seat, because it's not always a comfortable place to be. So I appreciate everyone, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, this concludes the public participation portion of the meeting. We'll now move on to the information discussion items. First, we have Paul Larson from Informacast here to share information regarding the services. Informacast reps are here to give a presentation and answer questions and have discussion. So welcome, and thank you for coming. Sure. They are going to have somebody joining via conference call, and so we're hoping that everybody will be able to hear what he has to say as well. This gentleman will have to repeat questions that he receives from us so that the person online will hear the question. So.
Okay, and I think Dr. Dearman is getting the administrators back in, so there might be a little disruption, but...
Okay. So if you want to, do you want to wait, Dr. Dearman, to bring in a few people?
I don't think he heard.
Okay. Okay, maybe just wait a minute till they come in.
That's having principal flashbacks, like all those troublemakers waiting for me to handle them. Rough looking crew.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? All righty.
Get it back, 'cause they got their-
Okay.
they'll have their-
Yes, that'd be great. And if you can use the microphone, that'd be great. Is it okay for you to be on that?
Evening, everyone. My name is Jack Schoonover. I'm with Sentinel Technologies, and this is Paul Larson. He's also with Sentinel Technologies, and we are a reseller of single wire and Formacast. We have Ron Piscacci on the line with us, who is also with Sentinel Technology, and then we have Todd Howard, who is from Single Wire, who's going to be doing a presentation tonight for you on single wire in Formacast, which is a mass communication notification software application. And I'll go ahead and let Todd take it away and run with it. You're on.
Todd, can you hear?
I did, yep, thank you. Quick sound check here. Can I be okay in the room?
Hang on, just a second. We're gonna.
Okay.
That's 100%.
All right, can you hear me now?
Barely.
Okay.
Have him talk.
Yeah. Sound check.
That's better.
Okay. All right, well, good evening, everybody. I really appreciate you giving me a chance to sit in and tell you a little bit about our Formacast software solution. So the plan here is I'll take about maybe 10 or 15 minutes just explaining some of the constructs, basically the framework the system is and what it does. And then I'm prepared to just do a little bit of a demonstration so you can see it in action. So I'm just going to go ahead and share out my screen. I have 2 slides, I promise, more than 2 slides that I think will help frame up the conversation here, and then we'll go ahead and do a demonstration. All right, are you folks able to see what I'm sharing on my screen now, Paul?
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay, so folks, my understanding is that the district has some challenges around really two areas. One is what I'll call your traditional overhead paging system. Like a lot of school districts that we deal with, you may have some aging overhead paging systems. Most of our customers do. Many of those systems are 20, 30, 40 years old. And what I'll try to show you is what we think is a more modern approach to overhead paging, a strategy that will allow you over time to evolve to a more modern, flexible, powerful overhead paging system. And one, by the way, then that can also form the basis for a really powerful emergency notification and incident management solution. So I'll spend a few minutes just talking about the overhead paging, if you will, component, the audio component of both routine paging, as well as how that can be the basis for emergency notifications. And then we'll spend some time talking about the actual emergency notification feature set that comes along with the platform. So we'll talk through some of the traditional scenarios, and I'll be able to demonstrate some of those as well. Okay? All right, so let's talk about audio paging in K-12 school districts. If you are like most of our customers, as I said, you've probably got a dedicated solution for each of your buildings, which may be an aging solution that has some real challenges. Some of them can be big, heavy equipment that generates a lot of heat. They age, they're difficult to maintain, et cetera, et cetera. The way we can approach the solution to that problem is simply this. Our software started out, and to this day still has its basis in leveraging your phone system as part of the solution to the overhead paging and emergency alerting solution. And what I mean by that is, if you think about a modern day phone system, specifically the Cisco phone system that you have in the district there, what does that mean? That means everywhere that you now have a phone, which I presume is throughout your buildings, you have a device that has a speaker on it, that has a microphone on it, and that has a little display screen on it, right? So what that allows us to do with just the magic of software is turn those phones into at least part of an overhead paging system. So simply with the addition of our software on top of that phone system, out of the box, you can go to any phone, dial a code that corresponds to any other group of phones, speak into the handset, and have your voice go over the speakers of the phones. So if you had phones everywhere you need them and they got loud enough that everybody could hear them everywhere, then that would be all you would need to have an audio paging system, because you got speakers everywhere and you've got microphones everywhere. After that, it's just a matter of programming the zones, creating the codes, and letting people know which codes to dial when they want to address which zones for a paging solution. That said, most of our customers don't have phones everywhere, or they're loud enough to reach everywhere. So typically you'll want to supplement the phone speakers with other speakers, and you have two choices there. And folks, by the way, this will need to be some analysis done on a school-by-school basis as to which of these strategies and in what order you want to apply them, right? So our friends from Sentinel will be able to help you through that process. So what I'm just trying to do is paint a picture of, the art of the possible, right? What you could do starting with our InformaCast software in your phone system, and how you can evolve to a more modern and unified, I will say, paging system across the district. So you've got phones everywhere. Figure out how good your audio coverage is with the phones. You're probably going to want to supplement that. So the first thing that we can do is integrate with your existing overhead paging systems. Leave them exactly the way they are. So if you've got newer ones that don't need to be replaced, simply integrate so that when you generate a page from a phone, not only does the announcement go over the phone speakers, but it can go over your existing traditional overhead paging system as well. Then you can be pretty sure you're covering everywhere you need to cover with your audio for your pages. That said, there are going to be circumstances even after that where you may need to extend the audio reach of the system, especially if you're going to use it for emergencies, right? When there's an emergency, you can't afford to miss anybody with your emergency notification and the audio portion of that. So there are options for even extending beyond your existing overhead paging system with additional speakers that plug into your data network. They're called IP speakers. Let's see if I've got them here. So here's some examples of more modern speakers that plug into your data network and be targeted with the exact same system that can hit your Cisco phones and hit your overhead paging system. So if you've got large areas today that might not be intelligible with your paging system, or if there's really loud areas, for example, gyms, outdoor areas, cafeterias in the middle of the lunch day, right, where there's a loud level of noise and people may not immediately hear or be able to understand the audible portion of the message, you may want to supplement with devices like these that have things like visual indicators, right, flashing strobe lights, or scrolling LED signs, so that people can read the content of the notification that's being played. And so, as we go down the road and you choose to replace some of your existing traditional overhead paging systems, I predict you'll end up with some of your schools, maybe sooner rather than later, that will not have any longer a traditional overhead paging system. You'll pull that out, you'll replace it with the speakers on the phones and devices that look like these, that can provide your clocks, they can provide your speakers, and they can provide even scrolling LED displays that can be leveraged for things like emergency alerts. So the point of all that is, with a combination of our software that can target all of these devices with live audio and pre-recorded audio, by the way, you can provide a system that has the kind of reach to make sure that no matter where people are, they're going to hear your pages, and leveraging it for emergency notifications, they'll hear those as well. And in some cases have visual indications. So if they're in a loud environment, you'll get their attention so they know something's going on. They can then read the display or listen to the message as appropriate. All right, Paul, I'll pause real quickly here. I've covered a lot. Any questions from the room there?
I have a question, very simple. Is this a computer controlled? Is there a battery backup in the event that there's no power?
So yes and yes.
Okay.
It is
related to that, how easy is it to disable a phone system? For somebody to, is there a way for somebody to kind of disable?
Hacking your phone system?
Or, I don't know, turn off the power to it or somehow disable it so that.
Okay. Yeah, so today you have a Cisco phone system, and whatever measures you've taken to date to assure that that phone system is up, this is an application that rides on that and copies of devices. So there are all types of redundancy you can build in. It just at what level that you have or want to have. But it is your current phone system that we're discussing on using and expanding upon.
Okay. Good questions. Yeah. Any other questions?
I can cover those questions.
Okay, you bet. Okay, so that, I'm sorry, is somebody asking a question?
No, you kind of wrote up a little bit. You can move forward.
Okay, all right. Okay, so that's really the story around how our software can help address what I will call traditional overhead paging problems. So if everybody's good with that, I'm going to shift and I'm going to talk about, with that as a base, then how can we help you with your emergency messaging, right? And how can we help you when bad things happen? Make sure that no matter what, the people who need to know about it become aware that there's an emergency of some kind and what they should be doing to help keep themselves safe. And so just to be clear, the types of emergencies that most of our customers are thinking about and are concerned about and want to be prepared for with a solution like Informacast are one that, of course, that's top of mind for everybody because we all see the headlines is, of course, the armed intruder, right? What if it should happen here? How do we respond quickly and make sure we notify everybody appropriately and quickly? There are also, of course, severe weather concerns in our part of the world. Mostly that means tornado, and tornado warning specifically. How do we make sure we get that message out quickly and don't miss anybody? Then there are less, I would say, severe sorts of situations that folks are concerned about, like what if there's an accident in the shop and you need emergency assistance in there? Or what if a teacher starts to feel threatened in the classroom and needs to very quickly let somebody know, security typically, so that they can come and help them get control back into the classroom. So those are the typical kinds of things that most of our folks are thinking about and are looking to use a solution like Informacast to address, okay? So this is, I said 2 slides, I lied, I got 3. This is my last one. It's a doozy, I know that, but I do want to take just a couple minutes to walk through this because then I think everybody will clearly understand really how we address that problem of there's an emergency, we need to very quickly let the right people know so that they can take action. So very briefly, the first key point I want to make is in green along the bottom edge of this screen. I mentioned earlier about how we can use your overhead paging system and we can use your Cisco phones as alerting devices, right? And then if you need to, you can supplement those with IP speakers. Those are 3 of a whole host of systems that we can simultaneously target with an emergency alert, a pre-recorded emergency alert consisting of an audio broadcast, text, and graphical symbols, right? So you can set the system up so that you can pre-record that emergency alert content, then you can trigger that alert to be sent out. And in green along the bottom are all of the various devices that can simultaneously receive and display or play the audio from those emergency alerts. So just to complete the picture, the ones we've discussed already are every Cisco phone could play that audio and pop up the alert on the screen of the phone. Your overhead paging system and any supplemental IP-based speakers that you may have deployed likewise can do that. Your PCs, both your Mac and Windows PCs, there's a piece of software we wrote that you can run on those PCs that can pop up on the screen, play the audio on the speakers. If you have digital signs, we can usually target those and have it pop up on those. We can even send it to things like two-way radios. And lastly, and very importantly, I would say, is mobile devices. We all carry them. They have a screen, they have a speaker. Why wouldn't we want to leverage these to make sure we don't miss anybody when there's an emergency? So target these with those emergency alerts as well. So that's the whole universe along the bottom edge of the screen there of the various devices that have screens and or speakers that we're all surrounded with every day that you can target with your InformaCast emergency alert with a single triggering action, okay? We call that reach, and it's one of the things that we feel pretty strongly about. Why not leverage all of those if it's a real emergency, right? Simultaneously play that alert on every one of those devices. Folks, by the way, you make the decisions about exactly how you want to use this platform, right? I'm describing its capabilities, but no two customers have ever used our platform exactly the same way. Everybody has a unique scenario. Everybody has different viewpoints on exactly how they want to use the system. So the things I'm describing are what we would consider suggestions, best practices. You ultimately, though, decide for any given use case and situation exactly how you want that emergency alert to behave. So I just wanted to be clear on that. You have complete control when you decide how to configure this system of how it's going to behave. So that said, the second thing on this slide that I want to speak to is, all right, so you've done your job, right? You've decided I want to target all of these various devices so I don't miss anybody. I've reconfigured my emergency alert, so my severe weather alert is sitting there waiting, ready to go. My active shooter alert is ready to go. All of the ones I care about are in there, configured and ready to go. The next question is, how are you going to get that alert triggered and on its way? Because if you think about it, a lot of time can be lost on the front end of these sorts of scenarios if you don't think about how is that process going to happen. Historically, many systems, the only way to trigger that alert was from a piece of software that maybe 2 or 3 people had access to and knew how to bring up and trigger that alert. It required whoever happened to first become aware of that emergency to first call in to those 2 or 3 people, hope that they're there and answer the phone, play 20 questions with them, and then have them log in, hopefully remember the password, right, bring up the message and trigger it. For some of your emergencies, you may want to be quicker than that, right? You may decide that, hey, we can't afford the time it takes to do that. We want to allow whoever first becomes aware of that threat, and folks, the one we're talking about now for most of our customers is the active shooter scenario, right? Most of our customers these days decide, hey, we want to treat that no differently than what we've always treated a fire in the building, right? Anybody can go up to those fire poles on the walls in your buildings at any time and trigger that fire alarm. Our customers are deciding we want to have the same policy if there's an active shooter in our building. And so what that means is they deploy multiple triggering mechanisms like those fire poles, only in the case of InformaCast, every single phone on every desk and in every room can be set up to trigger your active shooter alert. And as anybody who knows the code to do that can go to any phone, dial that code, and have that alert be played across the entire building. And by the way, if you set it up to integrate with your physical security, it can also simultaneously and immediately lock doors in your system and automatically do what you would otherwise do manually, only not take the time to do it manually, have it happen automatically. So trigger from the Cisco phones. Trigger from your mobile devices, so if somebody observes a threat outside the building and they got their mobile device on them, they can grab that mobile phone, launch the app, and trigger the alert that way. You can deploy physical panic buttons where you think it makes sense to deploy physical panic buttons. Simple buttons, typically at the front desk, right? Sometimes they're discreetly mounted to allow people just to hit that button if they feel they're threatened or there's a risk of some kind. And then of course there's the traditional software mechanisms that the security team can log in and trigger them that way as well. So those are the manual triggering mechanisms. So what your district safety team will have to think through is, for on a use case by use case basis, who do we want to authorize to trigger these alerts? Which of these devices do we want to put in their hands so that they can do that and create those policies and procedures based on what's available from a toolset standpoint. Okay? I'm going to talk about automated alerts very briefly, and then I'm going to activate a couple of alerts here. Any questions from the room there, Paul?
I have a question. How often do you see kind of false panic buttons hit or false triggers?
I did, yeah. I think the question was false alarms, right?
Right.
no question, there is a risk of that. And that's a policy consideration that your safety team is going to have to think about. I'll tell this story. I was having this conversation with a large suburban school district in the Chicago area a few months ago, and this was early in my journey with InformaCast, when I hadn't really been exposed to that much. I was having this conversation with them. I was on site and said, hey, you don't let anybody trigger your lockdown alert, do you? I mean, you don't let the kids, for example. And they walked me over to one of the phones nearby and grabbed the handset and turned it over, and there was a sticker on the bottom of that phone that said, code red 2121. And what that means is anybody who can read virtually could pick up any phone in that whole school district, dial 2121, and lock the whole school down. So their choice was they're going to err on the side of speed rather than caution around false alarms to make sure that they can quickly react, and anybody who happens to see that threat can get to that phone, dial the 2121. I asked them, how many false alarms have you had since you put those stickers on all the phones? And they said, in the 4 years you've had those stickers on the phones, it has not happened yet. Frankly, I was a little surprised by that, but they assured me that, again, part of it is training, right? But their point was, again, no different than fire poles. Yeah, it could happen, but generally speaking, these days, people are pretty aware, and I'm hearing this from other customers as well. It may not happen as much as you might think it would, based on the experience of some of our other customers.
So is this information available?
All right.
Do you have handouts?
By the way, if you are concerned about that and you want to limit the ability to certain...
That's okay, I can answer that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, no, sorry. Do you have handouts, or where is this available? It's not in our board
Yeah,
packet.
we do have this all available on the single wire InformaCast website, and it's in the sense and out for that. That's what we do.
Hey, Paul, we also can provide them with the PowerPoint presentation we did for Safer School.
Yep, I'll send that out as well. That was promised, actually. That's it. Go ahead.
Okay. The point I was going to make is you can pin code protect those codes that trigger these alerts. So only people who happen to know the PIN code will actually be able to trigger it. So if you folks decide, hey, you don't want that risk of a false alarm from a kid triggering, for example, then PIN code protect it, and only those people who know the PIN will actually be able to trigger the alert. So we do have some controls of that sort.
And I guess one more question. Sorry.
Let's talk about, sure.
Are there different levels of alerts?
The question is, are there different levels of alerts?
Yeah, if what you mean by that we're talking a worst case scenario, right? The active shooter, obviously worst case scenario where you probably want to err on the side of being very obnoxious, if you will, very pervasive with the alert that you're sending out. If the question is, hey, can we be less pervasive than that? Have alerts that only go to this group of people rather than everybody, then absolutely. And in fact, I'm going to give you an example of one in a little bit here. Actually, let's talk about it right now because I think it's relevant. I mentioned earlier, one of the scenarios that most of our school district customers are concerned about is classroom disruption, right? A student gets agitated or there's some other emergency in the classroom where the teacher feels like, gosh, I need help from security or safety or the emergency group, right? You can configure an alert that can be triggered from the phone in the room, either a single button press or a code, you decide, that sends a pre-configured alert just to the on-site security team, or just to the on-site security team and the front desk and the administrator in that building, right? You decide on a use case by use case basis just what that urgency level is of that message, and therefore how broadly and how loudly, let's call it for lack of a better term, you want that alert to be. So did I answer, is that the question you were asking?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to speak briefly about tornado warnings. and a way that you might want to handle those using automated triggers. Before I get into that, that will just be one of several types of triggers that can be configured to have some outside system activate the InformaCast alert. I understand you folks also have a scenario where you have issues where sometimes doors get propped open and left open at times when they shouldn't be. And with a little bit of integration work, that could be another automatic trigger. Set it up so that the security system becomes aware that that happens, tells InformaCast, hey, this door has been left open for too long. Send an InformaCast alert to the people who need to know about that, and they deal with that. That's an example of an automated alert. And think of InformaCast as an open system, a platform, right, if you will, that has multiple mechanisms for communicating with other systems like your physical security system, and can be configured to act based on things happening in those systems. And that's just one example that I can speak to a little bit further in a little bit. But let's talk about the National Weather Service one, because it's another example. You may or may not know the National Weather Service. Yeah.
So I was just told that we have just a few more minutes. So I think you kind of gave me a segue into kind of some more specific uses that we were discussing here for the school district, that were more specific to your needs here. And so I'd like to kind of address that a little bit. So Dr. Dearman brought some of those needs that are unique here. And one of those is the doors seem to be propped open from time to time. And would like to have notification of those doors. For example, entrance 15, would like to know that that door has been propped open for, say, 2 minutes or whatever the time frame is that you program them to be. So this system can do that. It can send an alert to the designated parties that want that alert, and say this entrance, not the specific door within the entrance, but this within that entrance into that door 15 can be notified of that. So we already covered the public address system. There's some needs there. Talked about some of the principles. We understood some of the issues that we had there. Another issue or another need for the system is to integrate it into existing applications that the school district uses, such as PowerSchool. So there would be some customization of some software writing for that integration, but that is possible. As far as the scheduler that Dr. Dearman uses for notifying parents of snow days, we can integrate with that as well. Okay. Those are the more specific needs that I believe the school district has. This can help with. And I guess we can probably discuss the phone system itself and sort of the integration that it will need with that. Maybe not topic for now. So those are the more specific use cases that I wanted to talk about. Are there any questions around any of that?
Are you going to talk at all about what the cost is tonight?
We can.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
So we did present budgetary pricing, and I want to kind of explain what that means.
Okay.
So we did not do a final design and engineering for this project, meaning there's a lot more work to be done to understand the specific needs. And so with that, we have budgetary pricing for what we learned was that InformaCast does work with your existing Cisco phone system. However, your existing phone server is not the end of life in the support from the manufacturer. So that would be viewed as something that should be taken care of regardless of the InformaCast system. However, to make InformaCast work, that phone server system needs to be upgraded, okay, to a current system. Also, the teachers do not have phones on their desks currently. The phones, as Todd mentioned, would act as part of the new PA system, so they would serve that role. And they would also have that panic button on the desk as part of the InformaCast integration. Okay, so
Sorry, can you say that again? They would need the phones or they don't need the phones?
They will need the phones.
Will need phones,
Yes.
okay.
So,
go ahead.
Okay, so the budgetary proposal for the phone system is approximately $250,000. However, we are still working on final engineering, and we anticipate that number to change.
For the upgrading or for the installation phone?
Everything.
Okay.
for the whole phone system and?
So basically, we came in and did a walkthrough. Ron Scott, who's on the phone, came over to walk through the district with Paul and some of your staff. And we did a high water mark. So the numbers we're talking about now are kind of a high water mark, so we can continue to talk to the company that does your security and those kinds of things. So from a high water mark, it's roughly $250,000.
Just for the phone, to upgrade the system, and then if we want others, they're like add-ons, like the door lock, the door open alert, that would be an add-on, is that correct?
That's correct.
So every additional thing that we've talked about.
And the additional software for Power School and?
Yeah, so we really have two proposals. We have the phone system, which is required for the system to work, and it is probably time to replace it. And then we have the Informacast proposal as well.
Okay. And what is the cost on the Informacast?
It's about the same price range.
Okay.
Again, budgetary.
Okay. And that includes, does that include the lockdown on the doors and all that?
Yes.
Okay.
It does.
And the software?
All options available. Yes.
Yeah, Paul. Yeah, real quick, I was just going to say that we really want to work with the security team with the security access controls that are in place today to get that fully integrated. Right now, we kind of high-level quoted that. We believe that that price will drop once we get that full integration and understanding how we can integrate with the access control systems you have in place today.
And are there annual costs?
So the Informacast actually has a licensing fee, which we do that. In the proposal, it is covered for the first 3 years. So the subscription of that is included in that initial purchase for 3 years.
3 years.
So then you can convert that to annually, or would you stick with 3 years typically on that?
No, typically it goes annual after the first term.
Okay. So it would be
And then what is the subsequent cost for the annual subscription after the 3 years?
So
that's unfortunately hard to tell.
Oh,
We
okay.
don't know what's going to happen
What we would
3
do.
years from now.
What does it now for someone who's renewing it this year?
Right.
Does it depend
It's
on
based
the
on
system?
licenses, it's based on numbers, so we have to,
Okay.
so again, we're kind of, that's part of the horse you're kind of,
Yeah.
in terms of really what we need to identify. Because you may modify the system to add another thing.
So once we get an estimate of the system that we would like, then you can give us an idea of what annual fee might be.
Oh, absolutely.
I think the quote was $16,000 roughly for 3 years of Informacast.
Thank you.
So you said licensing fee, is that, how do you do, is that per building, is that per
device.
per device? So every device on every teacher's desk needs a license?
Yes. Every computer that is alerted to it, every mobile device.
Even every mobile device that it's going to, like district-wide?
Yes.
So how many parents we have and how many are added into this?
Whoever would opt in for that, you can't, if it's a personal device, they would have to opt into that to use that to see the alerts.
Typically, parents are not.
But you were talking about with Power School and alerting and, like the snow day, integrating that, then are we talking about individual licensing?
For each one of those, yeah.
Yeah, so every parent would be in.
That initial price I gave him, the number of contacts that when I send out an emergency, a snow day, is about 6,000 contacts. That's the number I gave him.
Okay.
It'll go out to 6,000 people, base it off of that. Because my direction to them was, give me the high water mark, worst case scenario, what is the maximum this can cost? Because the last thing I want to do is come in at a cost and then come back later and say, oh, by the way, I was a little short, I need a little bit more.
And so is it 16,000 for 3 years or 16,000 per year? Okay.
So we're looking about $500,000.
Right.
Plus, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't want to go on the cost, I know that's strictly, we don't want to blow the water high. In the time we have left, we'd love to show you the demo, so you can actually see that, because I know we're kind of short on time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Not that I don't want to divert the cost, we're more than happy to come back.
No, we can always ask you later. Yeah.
Absolutely. Todd, you want to roll from your demo?
Yeah, you bet. So I'm prepared to show you two things. I created a little bit of a alert around your specific use case of the doors ajar. So let me just go ahead and jump down to that. All right, I'm gonna bring up my demo room here. Folks still hearing me?
Yes.
Yes.
You're good, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right, so what you should be seeing now is live video of what looks like an old Radio Shack retail store. Is that what you're seeing?
Yep, got it.
Okay, cool. So this is one of our demo rooms here at our headquarters up in Madison, Wisconsin. As we said, we're the software folks, right? So this hardware you're seeing, we don't make. We make the software, but we want to demo it. So we've got a Cisco phone system. You can see several handsets, a couple on the desk, a couple on the wall, a couple of IP speakers, so you can see how those might behave. And we've got a digital signage system on the right-hand side, as well as some strobe lights, right? Some visual indicators. And then as part of my demo, I also have my mobile phone in my hand here. So let me go ahead and bring that up. Actually, I won't do that at the moment. Let me start with that scenario where a door has been left open, and you want to trigger an alert based on that. So I just created a quick alert in my system that says, hey, there's a door ajar. It sends it to the people that need to get it, and they can then take action based on that. And I decided, hey, if this happens, I might want to send it to some people on their mobile phones. I might want to send it to a couple of the Cisco phones, and I might want to send it to some desktop computers. So in a moment here, I'm going to simulate your security system noticing that a door has been open too long at a time of day when it shouldn't be open, and automatically triggering this alert, okay? So when I do that, you'll see a couple things happen. I'll explain everything that happened after it goes. Let me make sure I'm not muted, so. Okay, all right, so a door's been left open, the system recognizes it, triggers an alert, here's what happens. All right, yeah, my audio is not coming through from the room there, so sometimes I have that issue with my demo set up here. But let me just explain what you just saw there, and then I'm gonna share out my screen on my computer so you can see what happens simultaneously on my mobile phone as well as on my PC. But let me go ahead and zoom in on one of those phones so you can see the alert that popped up on that. So there's an audio announcement that I recorded that says the entry door is open, doorway number 5 is open, somebody needs to go check it. That audio played on the speaker of this phone, and this popped up on the display of that phone, as well as on the other phones, right? So anybody who's sitting at their desk that you want to get this phone to and happens to be there is going to see that pop up on their Cisco phone. Let me go ahead and share my screen out again so you can see what happened on my PC as well as on my mobile device. So here is that alert that played, that came over on my PC. Now you can have this take over the entire screen if you want, or just be real small, but you can see the message pop up here on my PC, and the audio announcement that I recorded played on the speakers of my PC. And so you can see door number 15, the entry door located on the west side, blah, 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 that please investigate immediately. On my mobile device, then, I also got that message, and that's what you're seeing right now, as a text message. Here's what that looks like. Warning, an entry door is ajar, door number 15, et cetera, et cetera. Part of why I wanted to show you this is, you might want to know that the right people actually got this message and that somebody is actually responding to that message, right? And taking action. So you can do, this is called a confirmation request. Please reply using one of the following responses. I am responding, or I am unavailable to respond. So I'm going to choose one and say I'm responding and send that back. That same response could be sent from the PC or from the Cisco phone, okay? Get too down into the details here, but I want to show you then that your emergency management team can go into the InformaCast web interface. This is the main dashboard of the InformaCast system. I'm going to scroll down here and I can see, oh, okay, somebody said they're responding now. Who is that? Oh, that's Todd that got my message and said he's responding now. So I can click send on the people who haven't responded yet and say, Todd is responding, you don't have to worry about it, right? So that's just a tool that's available to you folks to add kind of a level of accountability and tracking when you send messages of this sort out to groups of people to make sure that they got it and to collect a little bit of information back from them to make sure somebody's actually taking action on this. So to summarize, something happened on the physical security side, specifically a door was left open longer than it should be. That system told Informacast, hey, send out the door ajar message, specifically door number 15 ajar message, to whoever that alert is pre-configured to go to. Informacast did its thing, sent it to the mobile devices, sent it to the Cisco phones, sent it to the PC.
It looks like we're running short on time here, so I think that's a good stopping point for us. But, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet. Great.
We appreciate very much, and I'm sure we'll have other questions going forward, and we will be in contact with you, but we really appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it, Don, very much.
Okay.
And, you know, any questions that come up, feel free to address that. Happy to come back as well. So
Okay.
think about this.
Okay.
Thank you. So just one thing, I did want to say one thing.
Thanks, everyone.
Not related to this, but so we watched Todd, who is in Wisconsin, on WebEx, which is out to the cloud, through a laptop, hooked to the speakerphone, which is telling off the cell phone. So pretty interesting technology there that all came together pretty sure. I was pleased that the video didn't skip too much.
Right.
So, again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. The school activity account reports are included in the board packet. Are there any questions? Information regarding the high school random drug testing is available in the packet. Any questions? Information regarding high school wrestling is available in the packet. Are there any questions?
Yeah,
Did you want to present some?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Katie's here.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of this information, some of you have probably seen before. I have spoken to some of the parents that are involved in the youth club wrestling to get some updated numbers and such. In the last year, they have been promoting it through Dunlap Rec, and they are looking to promote it with the JFL. They're moving forward to trying to get more, more younger kids involved at that level. So I just, like I said, a lot of this information I know is things that you've seen before. The numbers of the Dunlap students involved are updated. So they were up about 6 from the last time that the information was presented. Also, we had the survey that we gave out, grades 6 through 12, asking the students if they would be interested in a wrestling program. Also asking how many other students had participated in a club program in the past. I thought that was important. Showed more of a commitment to it. And then just the cost. I talked a lot with the fellow middle line IAPs about the cost that they incur. The biggest thing that they told me was after you get the mats, which is going to be your biggest expense with wrestling. It's mostly a maintenance thing as far as cleaning the mats every day and things like that. So I know there's a lot of information in here, so I know you have it, so I don't want to go over all of it, but do you have any questions?
I just have one question. I mean, I know we've been talking about this for a few years, since I've been on the board. And it looks like you have enough students that are committed to this and who are participating in outside activities. So when is this a go? When are we going to move forward to bring wrestling to this school district?
Sure, so that's kind of why I brought it up again. Like I said, we have, a group of committed parents who have their kids in the club wrestling program and they're coaching, and they taught me a lot, because I'll be honest with you, wrestling is, I'm not an expert in wrestling, I didn't grow up around it, so I've learned a lot from them. They've given me a lot of this information. I spoke with the athletic leadership team, we've talked about it a lot. We all feel like, this would be a good thing for our school, gives our kids another opportunity during the winter months. Our biggest kind of concern was facilities, but at this time we do have a balcony above our bleachers that has the bleachers as a sound barrier. I did speak with another school that has done that for 25 years for their wrestling
And so if, say, at the next meeting or a subsequent meeting, we would approve this, what would be the timing on the beginning of, when would it first be offered? When could it first be
So,
offered?
I think it could be offered next school year, if that's what we
Okay.
decide we want to do. We actually had, about 4 years ago, one student athlete that participated in the IHSA state series. I don't know if you remember that, but, you know, you can, I actually asked the middle IAPs, like, what were your roster numbers? So I got anywhere from 13 to Washington was like 48,
Oh,
right?
uh-huh.
But, so you can, basically, the regionals are, to compete in the state series, you just have to have the amount of individuals, and then, you know, there can be a team sport if you have, but, so I have spoken with them about kind of my concern about hosting the first couple of years, just because our scheduling of our gym, has basically been, kind of built around girls and boys basketball, and, you know, their response was, if Dunlap added wrestling, we would, you know, kind of add them in like we do in track and cross country, where, not cross country, more about track, where sometimes we have duels, and then if we have an extra team, we add them in as a triangular. So they said they would kind of work with me as far as, kind of getting to that, where we would be hosting and things like that.
So, right now, we're the only Middle Illini school without wrestling, right? Okay, and so then if we buy 2 mats, and this is just a minor thing, but if we buy 2 mats, then we can do a dual meet. If we start doing invites, we would have to purchase additional mats.
So what I
So I think you said
told-
3 or 4.
Yeah, and I actually talked to one of our teachers in district who has a lot of experience with wrestling, and he basically told me that you know, some conferences have 2 mats for meet, some of them have 1. It just, you know, kind of depends. Obviously, with 2, your meets are going to get done faster, but that, you know, that's something that you know, if we started with 1, you know, we could, you know, look at purchasing another one in the future. The biggest meet that we would probably host in the near future would be the conference meet.
That's just typically a one-time expense, buy the mats and you.
Right. And do you anticipate that we would have enough for a JV and varsity team, or what do you anticipate?
So, you know, I'm just not sure,
Okay.
because, you know, you get the survey results, and, you know, you can't totally rely on those numbers. You know, it could be where a lot of students, they might not have responded in that, but it's another opportunity for them, and they might want to try it out. You know, if we didn't have a large amount at first, we could still run it as a JV. You know, and typically, in a lot of the dual meets and such, from what I've been told from the other ADs, is all the weight classes aren't filled anyway.
Oh, okay. And you just bring who you're going to compete if you have somebody to
Having
compete.
started a wrestling program in a local high school before, the first couple of years, you run a JV program.
Okay.
Because your athletes haven't had the training on a consistent basis that the other wrestlers in the we don't want to put our boys against Washington boys varsity right out the gate. That's just not fair to our boys. We need to build that program. So it takes a couple of years to build the program. So start out as a JV and build from there.
And it's also open to girls as well, right?
Correct.
And did any girls respond? I forgot.
Yeah, there were some girls responding. I think the number was kind of high, you know, these private, I mean, I know we have a wrestler in our high school.
Right,
now,
she's really,
Yes,
yeah.
very talented.
And she's a senior.
And when you did the, was that, I don't know, about a year ago, you did some kind of survey and you had the kids ranked? And I know we started lacrosse about a year ago. It wasn't wrestling ranked 1 or 2? Or it was ranked 1 or 2 though, right?
Wrestling
Number
was
1.
number 1.
Number 1,
Yes.
okay. So I guess.
That was right before I took over, and yes, wrestling was number 1 among males.
Okay.
And
So it
so-
seems like you definitely have the interest. I mean,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No, go
interrupt. So the numbers and the costs that we see, is that available on the public board book as well, your cost estimates? Yes. Yeah, okay, because the overall cost per pupil, I mean, per participant, is very reasonable, you know, compared to, you know,
Right.
a lot of expenses, you know, with other sports, and so yeah, it seems very reasonable. It could be as much as, what, about $240 per participant, based on these numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I do with everything, I mean, I put them on the high end.
Right.
So are you comfortable moving forward with the program and getting things set up? If you,
I am.
Good
I
fits?
feel like I said, I feel like we have a good base. I know that, like I said, the youth parents have worked really hard to promote it within Dunlap. I don't know how many people that we will have the first year. You know, like I said, hopefully some people will want to try it out, maybe that haven't done it in the past. Scheduling and things like that will be much easier. You know, just because we have so many. I mean, most high schools in our area have it.
Right.
And we already have a middle line high rotation with wrestling, so that would be easy just to add us right in.
so will this be coming up for action? It's on information, so next month. So I won't be here, but I fully support, I have for years, so thank you for bringing it forward again, though.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, Katie.
Information regarding an out-of-state professional learning conference is available in the packet. Are there any questions? And next, Heather Bowman and Matt Andrews are here to present information regarding the K-2 report card revisions.
Okay, well, we have had our Elementary Curriculum Council has been meeting throughout this school year to take a look at our current report cards and at the K-2 level and at the 3-5 level. So right now, we're just taking a look at putting the new language for the K-2 report cards into place for this next school year, and then looking at 3rd through 5th grade the following year. We had a representative from each building from every grade level participate and take a part in this, along with different specialist teachers that play a role in analyzing their standards and taking a look at that. And so the first thing we did when we met is we really wanted to establish our purpose. Why were we reviewing this? So our current standards-based report card at K2 has been in place now for, I believe it's been 7 years. It was right when the initial new standards came out. And so at that time they were put into place. However, as you teach those standards and get more accustomed to them, there are different tweaks and changes that you make to your curriculum. And so the teachers really felt that it was important to revamp the report card. And we want to make sure that the strongest purpose is that we're communicating effectively to our parents and their students how they're doing within all of their subject areas. So just a little backtrack, because we've had some back and forth over the years about standards-based report cards. So it really is just providing some extremely detailed information to make sure we are communicating to our parents what progress the students are making towards that particular content area or standard. And then how it's being assessed in the classroom. And that's extremely important at the lower elementary levels because reading is so developmental. There are so many different stages that come as a part of that. And so to be able to clearly, diagnose and see which area, okay, we're really strong at fluency, but we're lacking in comprehension, or maybe we need to work on decoding first before we can move on to that fluency piece. So all of that is a part of the report card. And then they're continually assessed just on their progress each quarter throughout the year. The reporting standards then obviously directly relate to our curriculum, making sure that we're going across all of the content areas, and we use the Illinois Learning Standards, and that includes the NGSS and the C3 framework, which are the science and social studies standards. So as the teachers are going through, there are several different ways that they collect this information. They're doing classroom observations, there's daily classwork, and there's projects and assessments. And it's important to keep in mind that it's not just a test, in particular at the K2 level, because you're doing lots of authentic assessment. You're observing kids, you've got checklists, you're taking a look at what they're doing, and then that's how you can put together that comprehensive overview of how they're doing in the classroom, and then how they are progressing throughout each quarter of the year. So with that, I'm going to show you the drafts of the report cards. I want you to keep in mind that these are currently in Excel. These are not in PowerSchool currently. We have not had the tech team build these out, obviously, because we wanted to share them with you first, make sure if there were any questions or concerns. And I'm not going to go through this step by step, but I really just wanted you to have an overview to see that we've got all the different ELA standards. Several are exactly the same from the current report cards that are on there. But for example, if I were to go down to, I'm going to go to the first grade one, for example. If I can get there. There are quite a few. One of the things, for example, you can see that first grade did, if you take a look at the ELA reading foundational skills, the bottom two. So that currently is 1 standard on their current report card, that a student reads with grade level text with sufficient accuracy and fluency. However, accuracy and fluency are really 2 different skills. And so the teachers felt it was important to be able to pinpoint that and be able to communicate that to our families. So those are some of the changes that went into place along with this. I think it's very important to remember that our standards are really our curriculum and what we're teaching to. We adopt different textbooks and resources to support that. But this is really the crux of what we're doing in the classroom. Our teachers have done some phenomenal work on this project. Last year they realigned scope and sequence, and then this is really the next step in that process. So that's the bulk of the information I have. What questions do you guys have for us?
Are we sending any communication out to the parents with these?
Absolutely. So the plan would be, we're going to be moving forward with this. We've actually been working on a parent guidebook. That's one thing we don't currently have that shares a lot of this information. And that would have some even more grade level specific information to make sure that they're understanding what our scale is. If there are questions, how can they go back and discuss that? You know, a common thing that happens is if a student's earning a 3 because that's showing mastery, and then that level 4 is going beyond and applying, excelling, not necessarily always operating at a grade level higher, but going beyond those standards. That explanation of, you know, being at a 3 is excellent. That's really good. That's where they should be. But then that 4 is going beyond. So there will be some literature that will go out with that as well.
Great, thank you.
And you may have already asked this, but I guess, were there parents involved in looking and helping formulate this? And
no, there were not.
Okay.
How many teachers were on the team that worked on this?
There were, at K2, there were 15 core content level teachers, and then all of our PE, our music, our arts.
I knew there was a bunch.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then there's 5 at 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade as well, because the plan even prior to me coming to the district was to move to standards-based for grades 3 through 5. So we started some of the work on that process, but they need some more professional learning and development before we would be able to go to that point. So we worked on some drafts of that. The plan is for next year to provide professional learning for them, to solidify those, and then bring those to you next year for approval, because that would be a bigger shift, because they are not currently standards-based at grades 3, 4, and 5.
And so you're looking at bringing that next year and then implementing that the following
Correct.
year,
That would be
so 2 years out.
in the fall of 2020.
Great. There's a fantastic work, and I'm not surprised that there are so many people involved in this. You know, and you really did a cross-section of expertise to come up with this and making sure that everything that is listed, and parents will be able to understand, and your guide will be a great resource as well. But it provides a lot better information than, you know, when our kids were really little, and that helps the parent at home know how to support the child in a much better way. So great work.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Information regarding the 2019-20 regular board meeting dates is included in the packet. Are there any questions? Okay. This concludes the information discussion item segment of the meeting, and we'll now move on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions or discussion regarding items on the consent agenda? Okay, could I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Abby Humble, seconded by Don Bozeman. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Humbles.
Aye.
Bozeman.
Aye.
Bluth.
Aye.
Disharum.
Aye.
Holzhauser.
Okay, motion carries. We'll now move on to the action items. The bill list, treasurer's report, and district investment report are included in the packet. Are there any questions? Okay, could I have a motion to approve payment of the bills?
I move to approve payment of the bills in the amount of $5,637,191.99 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Teresa Holzhauser, seconded by Cheryl Bluth. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Holzhauser.
Aye.
Bluth.
Aye.
Bozeman.
Aye.
Disharum.
Aye.
Humbles.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Information regarding the Health, Life, Safety Emergency Board resolution is included in the packet. Are there any?
Go ahead.
Oh, are there any questions? Oh, somebody have a question? I had a question, I guess. So this is, just so I understand, it's to get approval from the Regional Board of Education that we can use those funds?
Correct. That's
Okay.
the process you have to go through to
Okay.
access those funds.
Okay. And then subsequently, we'll see bidding and all of that?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, any other questions?
Okay, could I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I move to approve the Health, Life, Safety Emergency Board resolution as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Cheryl Bluth, seconded by Don Bozeman. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Bluth.
Aye.
Bozeman.
Aye.
Disharum.
Aye.
Olshauser. Humbles.
Okay, motion carries. This concludes the action items portion of the meeting. Could I please have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
I move to adjourn to closed session for the following purposes as stated in the Open Meetings Act: the appointment, employment, compensation, and performance of specific employees, student discipline cases, discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed, collective negotiating matters, and security procedures.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Don Bozeman, seconded by Cheryl Bluth. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Bozeman.
Aye.
Bluth.
Aye.
Olshauser.
Aye.
Humbles. Disharum.
Aye. Motion carries. We're adjourned to closed session. Thank you all for attending. Could I please have a motion to approve the Human Resources Consent Agenda for 2018-19?
I move to approve the Human Resources Consent Agenda for 2018-19 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Cheryl Bluth, seconded by Teresa Holzhauser. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Bluth.
Aye.
Olshauser. Humbles. Bozeman.
Aye.
Disharum.
Aye. Motion carries. Could I please have a motion to approve the Human Resource Consent Agenda for 2019-20?
I move to approve the Human Resource Consent Agenda for 2019-20.
Second. Oh, I'm sorry. Second.
It's been moved by Abby Humble, seconded by Don Bozeman. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Humbles.
Aye.
Bozeman.
Aye.
Bluth.
Aye.
Disharum.
Aye.
Olshauser.
Motion carries. Could I have a motion to approve the closed session minutes?
I move to approve the closed session minutes of the regular board meeting of March 20th, 2019 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Teresa Holzhauser, seconded by Don Bozeman. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Olshauser. Bozeman.
Aye.
Bluth.
Aye.
Disharum.
Aye.
Humbles.
Aye, and I'd like to suggest that Don get to make this last one.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Mrs. Bozeman.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved by Don Bozeman, and is that seconded by Cheryl Bluth?
Yes.
Okay. Any
As
discussion?
Well, good luck to you, Don, and thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned at 8:10.